So I think one of the most common questions for climbers who are just starting out is, how do I recover faster? You know, how do I go to the gym more than just a couple times a week? Because my body just can't seem to keep up. Recovery is a huge part of climbing, and I think it's important to start thinking about it from the start. So how do you know if you're recovering right? I mean, is there a secret to being able to recover faster? So in this video, I'm going to share with you my favorite tool for recovery and how I used it over the past couple of years to help me develop habits that's currently allowed me to climb up to 6 days a week, sometimes even twice a day. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my favorite recovery tool for climbing. So one of the things you'll hear me talk a lot about in this channel is the idea of sustainable performance. So how do we pursue our goals, making sure that we're taking care of ourselves both mentally and physically. So there's no point in reaching our goals if our bodies are going to be a complete wreck at the end. And in a physically demanding sport like climbing, it's really important that you start thinking about recovery from the start, because if you don't, you risk overusing it and actually getting yourself injured. So sometimes when people ask me how much I train every week, they're always curious about how I'm able to climb so much, and my answer to them is always sleep. And you know, this is not a new concept. If you listen to any interviews from like top athletes, they'll always say that their secret is just sleep. Like LeBron James, for example, he says he sleeps 10+ hours every night. Getting the right amount of sleep lets your body recover from everything that you're doing. Because after all, getting stronger is a two-part equation, right? It's the stress plus the rest. If you ignore the second part of the equation and you just do stress, your body is just gonna be on a steady decline. You're not gonna get any stronger, and worse, you're most likely gonna get injured. So, of course, diet is also a very important part of the equation, but in this video, we're just gonna be focusing on sleep. So without further ado, let me introduce you to my favorite piece of technology for sleep and one of my most prized possessions. This is the Oura Ring. I've been using this for maybe 4 to 5 years now, and you know, I love it so much that I bought 3 of them for myself actually, because I lost 2 of them. And I've also bought a couple of them as gifts, and I've recommended it to pretty much every climber that I know. And if you're not familiar with this ring, it's a super advanced sleep tracker. It's able to break down your stages of sleep. It gives you your resting heart rate, your heart rate variability, all these very important signals to tell you basically how your body is handling all the stress that you're throwing at it. So now I'm gonna walk you through what the ring can do. There's a cool app that comes with it, and I will kind of go through each of the metrics that it can track, and then how I use these metrics to optimize my routine for recovery. So the first one I want to talk about is the sleep stage tracker. So the app is able to tell you when you're going in between the stages of restfulness. So like if you wake up in the middle of the night, it can tell you exactly when you're awake. If you're in light sleep, if you go into REM sleep, and then finally if you go into deep sleep. And deep sleep is actually what you want to be trying to maximize for, because it's actually the most regenerative stage of sleep. And using the sleep tracker, I've been able to tweak certain things in my sleeping routine to try to optimize for especially the deep sleep. For some reason, I don't get enough deep sleep. So over the past couple of years, I've tried countless things to try to boost my deep sleep. So for example, testing out blue light blocking glasses a couple hours before sleep, testing out different room temperatures at night, taking supplements like magnesium. So the cool thing is that you can tag each day with certain tags. So for example, you know, they have a huge selection of presets here, but you can also create your own. Magnesium is one that I've tried, you know, taking hot baths, cold showers, CBD, all that kind of stuff. So it just kind of gives you takeoff points for things that you might want to test out. It's a really cool way to kind of try these little things to see what is and what isn't helping your sleep. And it's like a data-driven approach, you know, so you're not just testing out things and feeling like, oh, okay, I feel like subjectively it's helped. No, this gives you real objective feedback on that. So the next one I want to talk about is the lowest heart rate. And this is basically the lowest rate in beats per minute that your heart was able to get to throughout your entire night of sleep. And this one is pretty important because it tells you how your body is responding to certain things in your training. So once you establish your baseline, which you just wear the ring for like a couple weeks, the app will figure out what your natural or your baseline resting heart rate is. And you know, as you continue to monitor this, you'll be able to tell when your body is struggling to keep up with recovery. So for example, my average lowest resting heart rate is around 47, 46. So if we go back a couple days, 47 here, 47, 47, 49, 46, 47. So these are the nights that I'm recovering pretty well. But if we go back and sometimes I even get down to like 45 here. And I think this weekend I actually did a lot more climbing. So how you can kind of look at this is if your lowest heart rate doesn't return to what your baseline is, it means that your heart is having to go into overtime when you sleep and continually pump blood so that your body can recover. So when you notice that you're trending towards slightly higher lowest heart rate, minus if you're doing things like drinking alcohol, it's gonna affect your lowest heart rate. But if you're just keeping your average training and a normal lifestyle, keeping an eye on what your lowest heart rate is or the trends of your lowest heart rate can really tell you how your body is responding to your training. So if you start noticing that this number is going higher, it just means that you should probably take it easy for a couple days, maybe modify your training plan a little bit so that your body is able to keep up. So this is kind of a good way to test out different workout plans. If you add in a workout or even an extra day of training, you can see exactly how your body is or isn't responding to that. And you know, it could take a couple weeks for your body to get used to something, but just keeping an eye on this lowest resting heart rate gives you a decent idea if your body is able to keep up. The third one I want to talk about is the heart rate variability. So heart rate variability is actually a very, very fascinating measure, and there's a whole bunch of research and science and literature on it. You could read a little bit more about it, but essentially it measures your body's ability to instantaneously adapt to the physiological needs of your body, right? So if you think about your average heartbeat, which is, you know, if you take 60 beats per minute, which is roughly about one second in between each beat. But between each beat, there's also tiny bits of variability in there, right? So it could be slightly faster or slightly slower than 1 second. And when your body is in a quote unquote good condition and when you're mentally calm, your body is actually able to adapt to instantaneous changes in whatever your body needs, right? So it's able to speed up or slow down your heart depending on exactly what your body needs in that very instant. So what this measure looks at is what is the average variability between heartbeats. And the higher that variability is, the more your body is able to instantaneously adapt to all those changes. So when this number is low, it generally means that your body is stressed, and it could be mental or physical. And combined with the lowest resting heart rate, you can kind of figure out where you are at an overall level of stress in your body. If we take a look at, I guess this was 2 weeks ago, this was one of the nights where I had the lowest resting heart rate, and my average HRV is, I mean, it differs widely between people, but the goal here is to establish that baseline and figure out how you're deviating from that baseline. So basically with these three measures, you can get a lot of insight into the state of your body, and more importantly, it provides like real-time data and real-time feedback that you need to test out different things and see how your body responds, right? So I'm gonna make another video in the coming weeks that goes in depth into everything that I've actually learned from this app and everything that I actually do to maximize recovery outside of the things I already talked about. So if you're interested in that, please hit subscribe and turn on notifications. That'll be coming in a couple weeks. So the thing I really love about this ring and this app, in addition to all the different tracking things I just talked about, is that it gives you this readiness score at the beginning of each day, and it kind of gamifies this whole process. And if you love games like I do, I try to maximize the score as much as I can. And you know, it really makes you think twice about things like, for example, having a beer or a wine before bed, because you know, through the app you can see exactly how much that destroys your sleep, especially deep sleep, which is something that I care a lot about. So overall, it just really builds good habits around sleep, because you know, you kind of wake up every morning, you take a look at this app, and you know exactly how everything you're doing is affecting your sleep. You know, like, so staying out late, for example, things like alcohol, things like too much blue light, you know, looking at screens before bed, you can see exactly how all of that affects your sleep. And you know, building good habits around sleep, I think, is probably one of the most important things you can do if you want to become a stronger climber, or just a stronger or better performing at anything, actually. So yeah, thanks for listening to me ramble about this ring. I highly recommend grabbing one of these yourself if you're serious about recovery. They just came out with a new version, actually. It's supposed to be a little bit more accurate with some of the sleep stages. It's got some other cool features, like it can measure your blood oxygen level. If you're a woman, you can use like a period prediction. There's a couple other cool new features, but I'll put a link in the description below. I don't get sponsored for this, but I feel like I really should. I think I've sold so many of these for them. So yeah, I hope this was useful, and I hope that you can use this to help you on your journey. And thanks again, and see you guys in the next video.